You won't believe what just unfolded live on Newsmax. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, widely regarded as a rising force on the progressive left, delivered a scathing critique of the Trump administration, labeling it both racist and a threat to democracy. But what she didn't anticipate was Karoline Leavitt, America's youngest ever White House press secretary, stepping up with a commanding counterattack. In mere minutes, Leavitt flipped the script, turning every one of AOC's criticisms into a liability and expertly dismantling the ideological framework of the woke movement. From the use of the term Latinx to gender-inclusive language and immigration, Leavitt left no issue untouched. The studio was stunned. The host stood speechless. The audience roared. This was no ordinary debate. It was a clash of ideologies, with deep implications for America's future. Before we dive in, comment where you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more breaking moments like this. Under the blazing studio lights, time seemed to stand still. For a few seconds before the debate began, the tension was palpable as Jake Morrison, the evening's host, walked out onto the stage. Known for his composed demeanor and ability to moderate even the most intense discussions, Morrison addressed the audience with a warm yet firm tone that immediately commanded attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "in an era where America is more divided than ever, meaningful dialogue is our only path forward. Tonight, we present a raw, honest, and unfiltered exchange between two key voices shaping modern American politics." He then introduced the evening's guests. Karoline Leavitt, one of the youngest and most influential figures in the MAGA movement, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a standard-bearer for the new wave of progressive leadership. AOC stepped onto the stage first, wearing a bold outfit that matched her confident posture. She waved to the crowd with a glowing smile, though her eyes reflected an unwavering intensity. Moments later, Leavitt appeared. Her platinum hair shimmered under the lights, and her eyes locked ahead with a steely resolve. She gave Morrison a brief nod, signaling her readiness. Morrison got straight to the point. "Let's begin with a topic that may seem minor, but which has ignited major controversy: identity, language, and inclusivity. The term Latinx. This is more than just a word. It's a lens into how we understand diversity in today's evolving society." AOC responded first, her voice vibrant and impassioned. "We need terms like Latinx," she argued. "Inclusive language matters. It's how we affirm and uplift everyone in our communities." The audience gave polite applause, but Leavitt, unfazed, leaned forward and calmly fired back. "Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, inclusion is important. But reality matters more," she said, her voice firm. According to Pew Research, 68% of Hispanic Americans reject the term Latinx because they feel it disrespects their heritage. I recently spoke with Maria, a small business owner from Arizona. She told me Latinx made her feel like her Mexican culture was being erased. Leavitt paused, letting that settle. Is it truly inclusive if the very people it aims to represent overwhelmingly reject it? The room fell silent. AOC, momentarily taken off guard, tried to recover. Language can guide progress, she replied. Latinx creates space for non-binary individuals and those who don't identify with traditional terms. But her confidence was clearly shaken. Leavitt didn't hesitate. Maria isn't resisting progress. She's defending who she is, Leavitt said sharply. She voted for Trump because she felt he respected her culture, not imposed a new identity on her. In fact, an 85% Latino district in Texas recently flipped Republican. That's not coincidence. That's a response to policies like yours. Applause broke out. AOC visibly struggled to maintain composure. Attempting to shift focus, AOC continued. We need to be inclusive in how we speak, especially when addressing issues like abortion. It's not just a women's issue. It affects anyone who can become pregnant. The audience began murmuring, questioning the practicality of her message. Leavitt struck again. I met Sarah, a nurse and single mother from Ohio, who's been fighting for reproductive rights. She told me that terms like birthing people make her feel invisible, as if her identity as a woman is being erased. She let that statement hang. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. How does calling Sarah a birthing person make her feel seen? More applause. AOC tried to hold her ground. We must embrace language that reflects our society's diversity, she said, though her voice had lost much of its earlier strength. If we don't, we risk excluding marginalized voices. Leavitt wasn't finished. Diversity doesn't mean ignoring the majority, she said with icy precision. I toured Pennsylvania during the last campaign. Many women told me they want policy, not linguistic gymnastics. They want their rights defended, not their identity altered. She cited a Rasmussen report. 65% of voters believe woke language actually weakens the message on abortion rights. How does that help anyone? The crowd responded with thunderous applause. AOC attempted to regroup. We have to strive for justice, for everyone, she said. But her tone wavered. Leavitt moved in for the final blow. Justice begins with acknowledging the people on the ground doing the hard work, she stated, eyes locked on AOC. On Instagram, I asked, how do you feel when abortion rights are framed with new, unfamiliar terms? Thousands of women responded. They want to be called women, not birthing people. That post had over 3 million views. She paused. Congresswoman, do you think those women are wrong for wanting to keep their identity? AOC could only respond, I'll take their feedback into consideration. Leavitt didn't stop there. President Trump's campaign, she continued, isn't about changing words. It's about protecting rights in real, practical ways. Miss Ocasio-Cortez, how exactly does abolishing ICE help people like Carlos keep their jobs? Leavitt's question cut through the silence, her delivery crisp and deliberate. The audience held their breath as the implications sank in. AOC attempted to reply, emphasizing the need for comprehensive immigration reform that includes both border security and immigrant integration. But her words began to falter, and Leavitt seized the moment. Reform doesn't mean abandoning control, Leavitt countered, her voice gaining force like a rising tide. According to Homeland Security, crimes tied to illegal immigration in border states are up 20% in the past 3 years. Families in Arizona and Texas are afraid for their safety. Meanwhile, the Trump 2.0 administration is securing borders and creating jobs for Americans like Carlos. The applause was swift and loud. AOC, trying to regain control, said, we need a humane system, not one driven by fear. But Leavitt was unrelenting. Humanitarianism isn't about ignoring American security or opportunities, she said, eyes blazing. She recounted a recent social media post where she asked the public's views on immigration. Thousands of responses from states like Texas and New Hampshire want secure borders. That post reached over 5 million views. Miss Ocasio-Cortez, have you read those voices? AOC's response, I'll consider the feedback, landed flat. Leavitt continued, when you call for abolishing ICE, you're not just weakening security, you're threatening the livelihoods of Americans. That's why border states are standing behind Trump. Her tone carried the weight of real people, real data, and a fierce conviction. AOC, known for her confident stage presence, looked momentarily shaken. Her voice was quieter now, but resolute. Immigrants like Carlos aren't burdens. They're part of the American dream. Reform is needed, but that doesn't mean closing doors. There was no dramatic flourish, just firm resolve. A few claps, echoed, fewer, but genuine. Leavitt nodded slightly, unfazed. That's the difference. One side speaks of ideals, the other of priorities. Americans are choosing order, sovereignty, and clarity. Jake Morrison, the moderator, stepped in, signaling, "The debate's close." Tonight was more than political sparring. It was a clash of vision. From immigration to education and reproductive rights, we've seen how divided this country remains. But it's honest dialogue that moves us forward. The studio rose in thunderous applause. Backstage, tensions ran high. AOC entered with a somber look, her team bustling. "We need a strong response online now," one aide urged. "Karoline hit us hard with those numbers and personal stories." AOC, arms crossed, nodded slowly. "I didn't expect her to be that prepared," she muttered. The team scrambled for direction, but strategy was scattered. In contrast, Leavitt's room exuded confidence. Relaxed but focused, she scrolled through her phone. "The immigration post just passed 6 million views," she announced, smiling slightly. Her team, which included Trump campaign advisors, was buzzing. "You owned the stage," one told her. "Let's keep pushing, showing how Trump is listening to the people," she instructed. In the studio corridors, Newsmax staff whispered among themselves. "Leavitt dominated," a technician said. AOC kept pivoting, but Karoline didn't. "Let her slip," a veteran producer nodded. "She's sharp and composed, rare combination." Online, the reaction was electric. Leavitt's X account with 728,000 followers was flooded with praise. Her post-debate message, "Americans want security, jobs, and good education, not woke policies," went viral. The hashtag #TheArsLeavitt trended. Instantly, AOC's team attempted damage control, posting about social justice, but the response was tepid. Critics swarmed in. "She didn't answer a single question," one user posted. "Leavitt made her look like an amateur." Media outlets quickly picked sides. Fox News ran the headline, "Karoline Leavitt overpowers AOC in fiery debate." A commentator declared, "She's the future of MAGA, smart and unafraid." Even, CNN admitted, Leavitt came armed with facts and stories that undercut AOC's points. Backstage, Leavitt received a text from a Trump ally. "The president is impressed. Great job." She smiled and turned to her team. "This wasn't just a debate. It was our message to America." The team snapped into action, eager to amplify the win. Meanwhile, AOC's camp was at a crossroads. One advisor suggested a live stream to recapture the narrative. AOC shook her head. "We need to regroup," she said softly. The sting of defeat was palpable. As Leavitt left the studio with quiet confidence, she knew this night was pivotal. Her final social post, "Thank you all for the support. We'll keep fighting for America," racked up millions of interactions. The debate was over, but Leavitt had done more than just perform. She had seized the story, the energy, and the audience. She had become the face of a new MAGA generation, calm, sharp, and unstoppable.